This is Mark and Charity's Coffee Podcast.
Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast for Thursday, May 19th. Soggy day across the Quinte region, kicking off what could be a very wet Victoria Day long weekend.
But that won't stop us from enjoying it.
No darn way.
Because it is May 2-4.
No way, no how.
And doggone it. Whatever. We are going to enjoy it.
Okay, how you swear on this podcast.
How do you swear in general? I have a very hard time with it.
Our long weekend. That's for sure.
Gosh darn it. That's what I was trying to spit out.
Just not a lot going on today. Here around the Quinte region, whatever, it's almost like we're all just in waiting for the long weekend to see what the gas prices are going to do.
I really think we are.
And not a lot.
Just in general, I think we're waiting for the long weekend. We so desperately want it to come. And myself, it's always that holding of breath, like, okay, what's going to happen between now and then, because I want it so badly. I don't want anything to come between me and the weekend. Mm-hmm. Let's just get through the next couple of days quietly on tiptoes, and then boom, we can enjoy it.
Here's a shock. I'm a ranker.
You're
by nature, a ranker. So I rank my months. Oh. Right? I'm a ranker.
Yes.
Where does the Victoria Day long weekend rank amongst the long weekends throughout a year?
I would say pretty high.
Yeah. For me, it's number 2. I have Canada Day as number 1.
I was going to say that.
I love Canada Day because I love Canada, and I love where I live, and I love where I live in Canada. I love everything about it. I love the geography. I love the people, and everybody that wants to do that. I hate that's going through right now. I don't buy it. It's not that I don't think it's legitimate. It's not that I'm making a political statement one way or the other. I've always believed nothing's perfect, and nothing will ever be perfect. And I've always thought, if you don't like what's going on, what are you doing to make it better? I had a program director say that once when I was going through a job interview or something. And anyway, he always asks that if somebody might say, why are you applying for this job? And if the answer is, well, I don't like where I am now, that's a red flag. Mm-hmm. And he would always say, well, what are you doing to make it better? And if there's a pause, it's like, you're the problem. Mm-hmm. So if the answer is, I always just want to drive around and say, F the prime minister. But what are you doing to make your community better? Like, anybody can just be mad. What are you doing? No, I've never been one of these people that just going to say, well, you know us, we're in radio. We go out in the community, we do stuff. And I love this community because you can get active. You can get really involved.
There's a lot in this community to do.
You can do
yes.
And see the benefits of. This is a great place to do it. I suppose if you lived in Toronto and you did a walkathon, you may never see the fruits of what you did.
It'd be a little harder. Absolutely, it would.
But around here, if you want to get involved and make a difference, you will. Not just you can, you will. And you'll get a chance to see. That's why I love this area. So I love Canada Day because it's July and everything. But back to then May, Victoria Day, I love the Victoria Day weekend. Because after this, it's like, if you're in grade school, it's like the school's over. It's done. It's play days and it's trips to the fire department. That's for the last month. And slide into summer. I love Victoria Day long weekend.
I'm sorry, how do you feel about this weekend?
It's a great weekend and I love it. And then
I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people feel the same way.
Then Easter's probably 3rd, and then August is 4th.
Okay, and where's Labor Day? Because I like Labor Day. I know it's the end of summer, but for me, I don't know what it is. I just love Labor Day weekend.
Thanksgiving's 5th. Can't stand Labor Day.
I don't know why.
End of summer. I can't take it.
I understand
Even though I love football, right? It all starts around there.
I know it indicates the end of summer, beginning of school. We all get back to like the routine of the day to day. I don't know what it is, but Labor Day, I would not rank last. Probably the August long weekend because it's just there. It's great to have. Don't get me wrong. I am not dismissing any of the long weekends. I love them all. But it's
like
just
my children.
Exactly. But it's just there. Like there's nothing really special.
Right.
I would say about, because as you said, May 2-4, it's May 2-4, beginning of summer. Then we got Canada Day. Even Labor Day has a significance for it's kind of getting back into the routine. Right. We had our fun. Now let's get back into a routine. October, I love Thanksgiving. Yeah, I love Thanksgiving weekend. But August is just kind of like, meh.
See,
Thank you for the day off.
You have a far better attitude about it because for me, Labor Day is the end of something. You said it's the beginning of school. For me, it's the end.
But I look at fall
and it's
as the beginning.
Snow.
Okay, well, that's depressing.
Any hour.
That would be closer to Thanksgiving, I would think.
Yeah.
But yes, that whole time of year, though, I've always felt, much like the spring, is almost like a beginning. You're beginning something again. It's the end of a lot of workplaces. It's the end of the fiscal year.
Yep.
For a lot of, as I said, it's the end of summer, but it's also the beginning. And there's just so much promise in September. I've always found that. I've always felt like it's like a new beginning. It's a fresh start. Like, let's get back into it and start again and get through the next year.
You're like a jumper cable. That's what you are. You
Am
just
I?
jumpstart everything.
I just think it's great. I think it's, you come to the end of summer, you had your fun, and now you start this new chapter. And it's exciting, and it's, let's do it.
All right, well, screw you, August long weekend. You're right. You've now been...
Have I sold you on it?
You bumped down to 6th. Labor Day, not much higher than 5th. Let me walk through that a little bit.
Okay, baby steps.
But
baby steps.
No doubt, this is a big weekend. And after the pandemic and everything, it's too bad it's raining, but I don't think it's going to stop people from doing stuff they want to do.
I don't think it will either.
And get out there and enjoy it. I planted trees yesterday.
You said that.
We picked up the saplings. I don't know. Is that what they're called? Seedlings?
Seedlings. I call them saplings.
Yeah, they're not sort of big enough to be that. It looked like me at 14. It's like skinny as a rake. Like you could turn sideways. I'm a shadow.
Yeah.
And they're about 3 feet high. And so we planted it, gave it about 6 feet around anything else out there. And it's just sort of by itself, looking like a thing in the backyard.
Make sure you water it.
And I asked Kath, pop that in your phone. May 18th, 2022, we planted that tree there and that one over there, red maples.
Yes, beautiful trees.
And we didn't realize how many there were in the neighborhood until we picked them up and planted them. And that's like there.
You see them everywhere.
And they're gorgeous. And maybe that's what I've always thought would look great about my neighborhood. And it never occurred to me, it's all the red maples. But now I've got these in the backyard. So looking forward to it. We'll see how long it takes.
Well, I told you, my parents have a red maple in their yard. And every year they have a couple of little saplings pop up. Mm-hmm. So when the boys were born, we each took a sapling and planted it in the yard. The same year they were born.
Okay.
So, well, I shouldn't say that. Ben's, I lied. It had a lawnmower accident the first year we had so we had to get another one for Ben. Of course. Second child. Poor kid.
Yeah.
But Nathan's tree.
You're lucky to get a tree.
I know. Nathan's tree has done quite well. So we have had it now for 11 plus years, and it is doing very.
It's a legitimate tree.
It is a legitimate tree because ours was less than 3 feet. I want to say maybe a foot when we put it in the ground, maybe 2. And it's pretty interesting to watch because I try to wrangle them and get a picture of them next to the tree every year to kind of measure the growth. But this tree is done. Yeah, it's amazing. I know it takes years and years and years, but it's great to see. That's the beauty of it, though. Even in the last 10, how far it's come.
I'm going to make you weep.
Okay, go.
At the end of our hallway, I used to have these like 20 rules of life that you could buy at like a Home Sense before Home Sense existed.
Yes.
You would pick it up somewhere.
A decorative sign that
and it would say, this house is beautiful because, whatever. And it would hold all these things. And one of them was we should all plant trees we have no chance of sitting under.
Absolutely.
As a way in life. Like we should all, everything just shouldn't be for our own personal consumption now. You should leave something behind for somebody else, because that's what makes the world great.
Yep.
So we should all plant some trees today that we have no hope of ever sitting under.
Because I have done that. There are trees in our neighborhood that are enormous, like just incredibly large. Not as large as, of course, at West or some of the parks you go to, but I do often look at them and I think what they have been through. Mm-hmm. I think how long they've been here, how deep are their roots, I just think, wow, it's incredible because to compare it to the Nathan's tree or one of the smaller trees in our yard, it's unfathomable to me sometimes. And it just blows my mind to think you've been here for so long, this beautiful tree, and here I am able to sit here and admire you now. Yeah,
and I'm looking at this little thing I planted going, you got no hope. Dude, now I'm finding out that here I'm going to bump you with my lawnmower. I feel
just
awful.
Watch if you've left 6
Wide
feet.
berth.
Yeah, leave.
No. The 6 feet around other things as it grows. Of course, I'm going to try and get up close then.
Well, don't get too close. Don't get too close. Yeah. Give it a chance.
Also this morning on the Pulse, Taylor Swift was the commencement speaker or the guest speaker. How was that? Valedictorian sort of for New York University's graduating class
question.
Of 20, 21, and 22.
20, 21, and 22.
Yeah. And of course, it's free to go to graduation, buy tickets. That didn't stop some students from saying, Taylor Swift's coming. I don't feel like going. If you would pay me $500 for my tickets, I could put down against my student loans. They didn't even have to
ask, though.
Yeah.
People were searching them out.
Yeah, we'll give you money because we want to go and see Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
So not that they thought she'd pull out a guitar, but who knows? And I wrote a song
Taylor
for
Swift.
you. Like, come on.
Exactly. Who's going to join me on stage?
I broke up with 9 of the boys in this class, and here's an album. Who knows?
I think maybe that's why I have such an issue with it, because I do.
It doesn't sit well with you, does it?
It doesn't sit well with me. I get it. I understand it. It's Taylor Swift. And she's not the first well-known name person to show up at a school who has no connection to the school,
who's never to speak,
who's never who didn't graduate from the school to come and give a speech. She won't be the last. I understand all of that. But
at 33 years of age,
to me, she seems still so young.
Yeah.
But yeah, even at 33 and with all of her accomplishments, because she will have experienced things I never will experience. And that's
she's
her
had
life journey.
That we will never know.
That's her journey. And I'm not saying there aren't parts of it that aren't relevant to these students and will help them. But I would have a hard time. I just have a hard time taking her seriously in that context. Now, we didn't hear the entire speech. We did play a clip of it this morning. And I just thought it just fell flat for me. I just thought, here's an opportunity to really share some of your life experience with these kids. And I'm not saying young people, not saying that's not what she did. Again, we only heard a small snippet of it. But as you pointed out, maybe it's the language. I honestly don't know. It just didn't. I can't put into words. I just didn't care for it.
Right. Yeah.
Myself.
Well, let's start with phase number 1. New York University has 8 billion people on the planet to choose. They landed on Taylor Swift. So they landed. So they knew what they were doing.
Oh, certainly.
They had the choice of asking Bill Gates or a pioneer in business, Elon Musk, and they would all say no, of course. But I mean, we can go after the pioneers of business who have lived successful business lives. But New York University is more arts anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay.
So arts, I get the artsy
an Academy
side of
Award-winning director, like somebody, and she's very artistic, like I get that. But you chose Taylor Swift for a reason.
Yeah.
Because social media loved it. And now the university gets a little bit of a bump for it. So
certainly,
that's number 1. But the speech was very much, it struck me anyway, about, sort of Taylor's journey. And again, that's great. But commencement, if I paid to hear Taylor Swift talk about herself and her career, that's one thing.
Yeah.
You want your commencement speaker to motivate,
inspire
the audience. It's their graduation.
These people to go forth and be successful.
Because she was talking about, the challenges that, I went through in friendships and whatever. But if the speech had been, so based on what I went through, I'm going to tell you what your life is going to look like. You're going to experience losses and loves and friendship. So again, turn it to that. It really just sort of struck as, thanks for asking me to talk about myself, so here I am. And for a commencement speech, you'd sure like to see it a little bit more inspirational for everybody. Again, we didn't hear it. Taylor's listening to the podcast, and that was going to be an album, and I apologize.
And it's not that she isn't incredibly successul.
Yeah.
Like she's certainly a very smart individual and savvy businesswoman, because she wouldn't be in the position she's in if she wasn't. She's got the right people around her. She's certainly lived and loved and learned from all of it, as we all know.
Yeah.
I don't know if the attention from having her wasn't more of a motivation for the school than what she would actually bring and share with the students.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Sure. They get the bump before the speech even happens.
Yeah.
Everything after that's great.
Like there's all this hype.
Right.
So I'd hate to think that the organizers, of course they thought of that, but I hope that wasn't the number one reason we're going to get Taylor. I'd rather have someone here who's actually going to give something back to the students.
We'll have to ask the registrar. Like, how many people now want to go there as a result of that? And then,
I would be interested.
And then ask the graduates, how did you feel? How did you feel having her?
And I will be looking today to see the reaction from some of the students and how they felt about it, because I think other people in the same situation or similar to her situation have done this, and it has been a very poignant, a very inspirational, a very relevant talk that they've given. I think of Matthew McConaughey. Now, again, it wasn't a school, but he has his 13 Truths, and it's a motivational speech he gives. It's about 40 minutes long. And when I watched it, I couldn't stop watching it. I thought, wow, this is some really great insight. Very, very basic thought, but it was very striking, and it hit a chord for sure when I heard it. And you might think Matthew McConaughey, well, he's just an actor. So what does he have to, and he never went to college or university. He dropped out, but it was very insightful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought that's what a commencement speech should be. It should make you think. It should make you see the world a little differently and prepare yourself. And I don't know. The little snippet I heard from Taylor just didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Have I lost you?
No, because I was thinking back, the best one I ever heard was actually my wife when she graduated from Durham College in Oshawa. Her commencement speaker was Ken Taylor, who was the Canadian ambassador at the time, who snuck out some of the kidnapped Americans in Iran.
Oh.
Ken Taylor was the guy.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he was the commencement speaker at her graduation. Here's a worldwide hero who got out, and his story was told in Argo, the movie with Ben Affleck. That was Ken Taylor.
Yeah.
And he spoke. And it was tremendous. And I was honored to be in the room.
Now, how was his speech? Was it about
I don't remember
that, or was it?
There's a famous saying that says 100 years from now, they will never remember what you say, but they will remember how you made them feel.
So how did you feel?
I, to this day, still now get goosebumps. I don't remember a word he said, but I remembered when it was over going, that was the most remarkable thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
To hear. And he didn't even spend a lot of time on the incident.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. Did he get up there and talk about that? Because I imagine that's why, or helped get him there.
He talked about diplomacy in general, and he would use examples about it. But the whole idea was, when you begin, this is from what I remember, when you begin from the position of sort of compromise, diplomacy, reconciliation, and when you make that your goal, you will always look for ways to make things better. If you only look at yourself and trying to get ahead, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to step on the wrong people. You're going to you're going to compromise your principles. But if you always look at trying to make things better, in the end, you will be a better person and you will be in a better place. And he talked about how when it came to get the Americans out, it was like, we have to do this because this is about freedom, and freedom is the greatest place to be. And if he could help at personal risk, so be it. Because that's what he agreed to do when he became an ambassador. So it's like, when you listen to it, it's like, yeah, I'd go through a wall for this guy. Again, I don't remember all the words, but it was always about, if your goal is to always be in a better place, and you'll bring your people with you and always be that, you will always thank yourself in the end for that. But if you only want to be for yourself, you're going to find it's going to be a lonely journey, and you're not going to be happy when it's over.
See, and that's a great life lesson. That's a great lesson to share. And he said an example of
that is, this team I had of people to help them get out in Iran, right? So
yeah.
He would come back to it. It's not just, I know that people say me, but, these were my people. And then it
wasn't a case of, through my life, I've been through this. It was.
Nobody's surprised I'm a hero, because no, it wasn't that at all.
Exactly, yeah.
It was literally about, if the guy hadn't thought about that his whole life, he couldn't have pulled off what he did. Mm-hmm. He wasn't Captain America or Iron Man. It wasn't a single thing. He was the perfect guy to have in the worst spot at the best time. And then came out and talked about it in a way that you would expect a guy like that to talk about. And it was great. And they got him for Durham College.
That's amazing.
Circa, when did Kraft graduate? Circa 82, 83? And because it happened in 1979, 80. So it's like 3 years after. Yeah, it was really, really good. So when you were talking about it, I thought, you see the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it, because those people will leave that commencement ceremony yesterday saying, yeah, Taylor Swift spoke at mine. And that will be a story, and they will share it. But I think, what really did they take away from it?
Yeah.
Where will they get goosebumps 20, 30 years from now, thinking back to that moment? Probably not.
Yeah.
And I would much rather have what Kathy had, than Taylor Swift. I would rather come away feeling that.
Which Taylor would you rather have?
Exactly.
Ken Taylor's a good guy to have.
But good
Thanks
for them.
For your votes for Throwback Thursday today. We had that today.
We
Bonnie
did have
Tyler.
that.
I want to keep Bonnie Tyler going for tomorrow's Friday song. That's why we got Holding Out for a Hero. We didn't want to get into a voting situation, but it's the can't lose Friday at this point.
It really is.
Because,
we narrowed it down to
again,
two
the long
great
weekend.
songs.
So Holding Out for a Hero, along with Sweets, Fox on the Run.
Yeah, which we had great reaction to a few weeks ago when we had it in the Galaxy of Games.
Yeah, so it's the can't miss Friday.
You really can't.
You don't have to vote, but if you want to vote, if you want to send us an email, want to send us a text,
it, yeah.
Drop off a box of donuts with a note.
Look at you.
You know, if you want
Try and persuade us.
send along puppies that I can take home. Yeah, okay.
Maybe not puppies.
No, not the puppies.
No.
I'd love them, though.
I
See the
know you
video of
would.
Creed that they put up on our socials?
I have not yet.
Creed
I
is our
saw the
station
posting,
dog,
but
and the
didn't see
whole
it.
idea is that Creed comes here to see me because I feed him.
Well, you
So
do.
go
You
upstairs,
sneak. You
go
sneak
see
the
Mark.
treats to him.
Then we'll go see other people who aren't Mark.
And then we'll come back.
And then we'll come back. Yeah. Oh, it's just so good. So good. What's going on today? Rainy Thursday?
Rainy Thursday. Not a whole lot with a rainy Thursday. Much like the long weekend, I will continue with my plans. They just have to be tweaked a little bit. So I was
Yeah.
going to do some yard work, but might have to just
right.
kind of juggle it a little bit and not
Yeah.
do all of it today.
But we're going to be geared up tomorrow, Friday of the great long weekend, Victoria Day of 2022. Join us tomorrow morning. Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast here, wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Up by 11 o'clock in the morning. Tomorrow, once again, we'll talk more about the Bryan Adams giveaway.
Our song
my
of the
gosh.
day kicking off next week.
So
wow.
good.
Wow.
Bryan Adams is going to be in Kingston on October the 8th. And with Live Nation, you can't even pick up tickets until next Friday. Wrong. You can win them on 95.5 Hits FM with our Bryan Adams Song of the Day. We'll be unveiling it in the morning show. And then when you hear that song played, it's part of your workday with Emily. Be the 9th caller through. Tickets are yours. I know it sounds like it should be harder than that, but it's really pretty
It's
simple.
really not.
To win. You hear the song because you know it. And like, I'm not going to tell you what Tuesday's song is.
Well, yeah, it's not like we're going to play some obscure song from when he was in high school or something.
Almost told you the title of the song. for
No,
Tuesday.
not now.
But
You will know what it is.
Yeah.
And there's no mistaking a Bryan Adams song.
that's right. So we'll do that, and you can be big winners next week. So all that kicks off when we get into Friday tomorrow with Mark and Charity Mornings. Talk to you then.